What's up, everybody? Joe White here, and I am here to give you guys some random thoughts today. Random thoughts on Raw, random thoughts on the future, random thoughts on the Royal Rumble. Let's get into a Raw. We saw the debut of Penta last night, and I gotta tell you guys, I was texting with my good friends AC and Hollywood Jeff Edwards, and AC's like, "Oh, you like Penta now, don't you?" I've never disliked Penta. I've liked this. I disliked his style. You got to admit, this last night was a different Penta than we've ever seen before. This was a Penta that showed he knew what has always known what pro wrestling was about. He just was not performing in front of an audience that actually cared. The AEW neckbeards don't care about storytelling. The AEW neckbeards don't care about selling. The AEW neckbeards only care about how many flippity flappity flues you could get in your time slot. That's it. And the snowman is just content to give you that, and that's what's causing his downfall. I saw more psychology and more selling and more pro wrestling last night out of Penta than I ever have before. And don't give me Lucha Underground. Don't get. Yes, they did mention Lucha Underground last night, but that's the first time anybody's mentioned Lucha Underground on television in what, 5 years, 6 years? At this point, I'm begging for WWE to just buy the damn library. It's a dead brand. It was good while it lasted. They had good storytelling, but nobody watched it. Therefore, it went bye-bye. It saw a little bit of a resurgence when they aired those 2 or 3 seasons that they did on Netflix. But then that quickly went away after about 6 months. So Lucha Underground's dead. It's not coming back. The people who worked there have moved on. So, yes, you can. Now, if anything, WWE last night has rekindled interest in a dead brand and is going to have people scrambling to try to figure out where to watch this shit, which I don't even think you can anywhere. So, Penta last night, I mean, there was reports of people backstage were wondering whether or not this guy was really injured. He was selling so good. He sold. Him and Gable are awesome together. I want to see those two go at it again. Give me more of this. Both of them sold their ass off. They told a good story. Hey, I'm one of the best luchadors in the world. You're sitting here running your mouth. Gable's like, hey, I can tackle anybody. I can beat anybody, and here I am. I'm going to prove it. And they went back and forth. It's old school program and with very little build. Very little build. You have wrestler A, who's the good guy, wrestler B, who's the bad guy. They want to fight each other to prove that they're the best, and they're going to put on a damn good show for you. And that's what we got last night with Penta's debut. The promo afterwards, even though I didn't understand about half of what he was saying, not even half, was good. Good to see his family in the front row. They kept cutting to his family, his kids, his wife. He even called them out at the post-match promo. People knew who he was. It's California. Of course they know who Penta is. So they did the whole Cero Miedo thing. Okay. Very good. Very good. Raw last night in general was just a banger. I mean, a really good. Yeah, promos from Punk and Drew and Seth Rollins kicking off the show. CM Punk doing a damn good acting job. You had Lyra Valkyria winning the Intercontinental Championship in a fairly decent match. You had a damn good street fight for the main event. I mean, last night was, to me, from a wrestling and storytelling standpoint, and not just okay, we're going to give you a bunch of WrestleMania-style matches. This was miles and miles and miles better than what we got last week from a storytelling standpoint. Because if anything, what Tony Khan has proven, Tony Khan has said it time and time again. I think people just want to see good matches. Well, good matches only get you so far. This week they followed up the good matches with some good storytelling. And guess what? It took some of the stink off last week because you followed it up this week with shit that made sense. When you just have good matches followed by good matches and good matches, nobody gives a shit after a while. You know? There's a reason why people sit there and go, this is not the NFL you're talking about. Blah, 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 with the NFL. And I'm sitting here going, guys, when it comes down to it, the NFL isn't real either. It's a game. What the fuck are they playing for? They get $1 million whether they win or lose. That's my thoughts on football. That's why I've never been a big football fan. You get paid $1 million whether you win or lose. Why do you think people talk more about what's behind the scenes? More people yesterday were talking about Mike McCarthy leaving the Cowboys than they were any of the playoff games that were happening or going to happen. People just want to see good games. No, people want to see some storyline behind the games. There's a reason why we care about who's going where, who's leaving who's slapping around their girlfriend this week, as opposed to what they're doing on the field. End of the day, it's all bullshit. Anyway, at least wrestling has enough nerve to come out and tell you they're sports entertainment. Guess what? So is football. What the fuck are they playing for? At the end of the day, what are they playing for? That's any sport. Why would you pay $1 million to see a grown man throw a ball around a damn field? Because people want to pay to watch him do it. That's why. Okay? People get emotionally invested. They suspend their disbelief that the weight of the world, and they buy into the fact that the weight of their world for the day depends on whether or not player X scores a touchdown. So, there you go. It's all fucking cash grab. Welcome to the damn world of, sports entertainment, because that's all it is. It's all fake. Okay? Injuries happen. In wrestling, too, just like they do in football. But anyway, enough of my rant about that. I want to get into some Royal Rumble thoughts. It could be that this weekend is Jordan Grace's last pay-per-view match for TNA. I suspect she will debut at the Royal Rumble. I do not think she's going to be on the main roster to start off with because NXT right now needs her. You got Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez who are more than ready to go up to that main roster after WrestleMania. Where they fit in on that main roster, I'll never know. Maybe you trim some of the fat off after WrestleMania and have a big firing spree like they do every year. Oh, WWE's going to fire people. They got families. Why are they going to fire people? Do you sit there and say the same thing about every damn pimple-faced kid that gets fired from McDonald's? He's got a family. He needs a job. No, you don't. It's their job, guys. People aren't bitching about, oh, Mike McCarthy's got a family. He's got to feed his family. Why they fire him? No. They said good riddance, and they also said, well, it really doesn't matter who replaces him because Jerry Jones is an old fart who is never going to change his ways until he retires. You don't sit there and, I'm sorry, when a wrestler gets released, I only feel so bad for him. They know the deal when they sign on the dotted line. They know that they could get fired at any moment or released at any moment. That's why, you save your money. But anyway, back to Jordan Grace. NXT is going to need her. I don't have faith. Even though Nikita Lyons is nice to look at, I don't have faith that she's going to rise up and ever hit the main roster. They've put, you know, Caden Carter and Katana Chance back on NXT for the time being. Why? Because the main roster's too full. You got people like Julia, Stephanie Vakir, people like that. They're going to need somebody on their level to work with. And let's face it, the only person right now, if you're going to call up Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez, the only person that's on their two's level is Jordan Grace. I think Jordan Grace will fit in well down in NXT. So that's just some quick thoughts for me today, man. Raw was a good show last night. I think Raw last night was on par, if not better than last week's show. Did a lot of good storyline follow-up. Had a lot of good promos. A lot of good wrestling on the show, too. A lot of good wrestling. The Wyatt Six, you notice I haven't been covering them too much. That's because they've done faltered. They've done gone by the wayside. But anyway, they're moving to SmackDown. It's probably the best place for them. But I think that's also setting up Alexa Bliss's return because SmackDown, you got. This is why I don't think Jordan Grace is coming up there. You got Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade possibly moving up to the main roster. You also got Becky and Charlotte getting ready to come back. Alexa Bliss is getting ready to come back. I think all three of those are returning in the Women's Rumble. So who knows? I mean, it's a stacked roster right now in the women's division as far as WWE goes. So let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments below. And we will see you down the road.